Welcome to the Learn from the Pro series on the 100% Occupied podcast. This is Luke, and I'm very excited to have on today Dean Palombaro. Dean, and I'm not sure if anyone has ever heard of this job title before today. If they haven't, I think it's amazing. So Dean's job title is the Director of Vibes for Foundations Health Solutions. Dean, thanks so much for hopping on the podcast.
I appreciate you reaching out and having me on the podcast, Luke.
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing is what is director of vibes? It's I can't say it without getting excited and having energy. But just tell me a little bit about kind of what does that job title mean to Foundations Health Solutions?
Yeah, so it's funny because every time I say it too, I giggle because it's cool to say. And I think that's really the essence of it. It is about bringing good energy to the community. So Foundations as a whole, we have 63 locations, all nursing homes, all in Ohio. And really the essence of my position is kind of a hybrid between marketing and HR, where I focus a lot on the culture, going into buildings, making sure team members are happy, the morale's good, and then creating content around our teams, around the residents, to really build awareness for our brand, so increase our brand awareness, as well as change the perception of aging and what it means to serve older adults.
So tell me, you said you go into communities and kind of make sure the morale, you're working on morale. What does that look like? You go into a community and are you just, talking to everyone that you can? Are you mainly talking to leadership and kind of getting their feel for how things are going? What does it look like to help a community with their morale?
It really depends. Like usually I talk to the administrators before I go in just to, set time, see when their morning meetings are. That way I can get in, talk to the leaders of the community first. But sometimes I walk into a community kind of just blind and just go talk to people. So really it's about connecting with the people. I know a few weeks ago I had to drive, Ohio's rather large. I had to drive 4 hours to get to Cincinnati because I live in Cleveland. And I got there a little bit late because it was so long, it was like so far away. So I was a little bit late for the event. And the best thing was I walked in, no one knew who I was, and there was an STNA right there, and or a CNA, as most people call them. And she greeted me and took me right to where I needed. And to me, that was such an like oversight and but a huge marketing tactic is customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately made a post about it because it was huge. And so really it's just those types of things. And really making sure that as I'm talking to people, finding out, what's going on, how are they feeling, how do they feel, do they feel appreciated, what they love about their jobs, uh, just ways they engage with residents. So it's really just connecting with the people and building community.
Yeah. So we were talking before about a big part of what you do is creating content for these communities. So talk about kind of what does that look like? What kind of content are you creating?
So a lot of my main focus on content is I do a lot of interview style content where it's a talking head that I create short form content on, where I have a set of questions that I ask employees, and then I also have a set of questions that I ask residents. But what I also have been doing is getting a lot more into storytelling, where, for instance, if a community gets an award or something, we usually have a celebration, or like this past week, it's Activity Professional Week. And so we met with activity directors in 3 different locations throughout the week. And I was there just recording the conversations, recording the interactions, because we were getting some true authenticity of, why people do what they do and why they love it. And especially from an activity director perspective, it was crazy. Some of the people I met, like some were there for 5 years, activity director, some were doing activities for 30 years. But to hear their passion and to capture that, I mean, there's no better way to put your team and your brand and what we do as a sector front and center than putting it through social media and short form content.
So when we think about social media, this is something that I hear often. And when we think about organic content, I've heard people say, especially on Facebook, and I think some on LinkedIn too, I've heard people say this, like, in order for your followers to really see what you're posting, you've got to pay. Like it's almost been said in kind of the sense that like it's not even worth posting anything that's organic if you're not going to put any dollars behind it. Do you find that to be true or not true?
I don't think that's true. I think it's important that you have to be willing to invest the time. You have to be willing to learn the platforms. And then you have to be willing to be consistent and consistently build content to educate your community and then grow your business through organic content. I think creativity is at the top right now. And if you're putting pieces out there that do have that piece of creativity in it, it's going to do well. What I find a lot in our sector is a lot of people put like a Canva post up there and they're like, well, we posted on Instagram and it got one like. Well, it's not doing anything. It's not bringing any value. It's not entertaining. It's not educating. It's not connecting with an audience. When you're putting real authenticity out there, it's huge. And I think a great way to do organic content is to just document. And what I mean by that is instead of like putting a skit together or anything like that, just document conversations, record meetings. Like on this podcast, for instance, I'm recording on video. That way, if I say some things that I think can resonate with a larger audience, I have it and I don't have to keep repeating it. So
Yeah.
I think you don't need to pay to have your stuff seen. I think if you have organic content that does reach a larger audience and you know it does well, then when you put the paid media behind that, that's when you really start to see the results.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were talking before about this. I'm a big fan of Donald Miller, and he's said before, people have asked him, how long can I create videos for my business? Thinking about posting a video to Facebook, because I think most people would probably say, maybe a minute, maybe some people would say 30 seconds, but his answer is always, make a video for as long as you think it can be entertaining. Because we will go and sit in a movie theater for 2 to 3 hours and watch a video because it's entertaining. And when you think about it, I mean, we're serving seniors, and seniors are full of wisdom. They're incredibly funny. And you can certainly take that in the wrong way and make videos that are making fun of them, but you can take that and create videos in the right way that's, spotlighting them and showing how great they are, and showing how funny and humorous they can be, and showing, the um, just some of the things they say about life and advice and wisdom. Have you found some of that to be true? Just, asking them some basic questions and getting great content from that?
Absolutely. That's how I built my audience was by talking to older adults because they know cool stuff that you and I don't. Actually, I call it life's best kept secrets. And if you think about it, a 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100-year-old, they lived life. They know so much. And if you think for any minute that no matter what we're going through, that someone older than you hasn't gone through it in one way or the other, you're wrong. They have just so much to bring to the table and so much to offer. It's like, it's just if we're not reaching out, we're not talking to older adults, we're missing out on huge opportunities to, make our lives better as well, because, that's what it's all about.
So a lot of people who listen to this podcast, they're in sales, they're in marketing. Um, Based on your experience, I mean, do you think some of this content can be used in the sales process? You're giving someone a tour or someone downloads something valuable from a community's website. Where does social media content fit into all of that? Does it fit into all of that? What do you think?
Oh, it absolutely does. So on my content, I have hundreds of thousands of comments, and I have thousands of comments that are like, "Where's this? Where's that at? I want to live there. I want to work there." I know a company out of Texas, I think it's MRC, just did a friend. They remade the Friends intro video with residents. The comments in there are 100% marketing focused that can lead to sales. You have people saying, "Where at in Texas is this? I want to live there." Like that's huge and that's converting. I think if you're really putting your community out there, really the behind the scenes stuff and why we love what we do, it's a people oriented business. And so why aren't we putting people at the top to build our brand? And if you think about the residents too, they're invested in these communities. They're paying to live there. We're working there because there's residents living there. So why not make it part of all the community to be part of the outreach and part of the awareness?
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. That's a great idea, the Friends intro.
It was great. It was hilarious.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and thinking, okay, I'm starting to understand this more. I need to get more involved. in, creating posts, coming up with posts and ideas. So let's kind of dive into how does someone take some of this and then start to apply it to their own community or communities.
For sure.
Um, so, I mean, how do you come up with ideas? Because I think that's probably an intimidating thought to think, okay, maybe let's say I want to set a goal of posting daily. How do I come up with ideas to post daily? What do you do?
Well, so what I did a lot was test and learn. I tested a lot of content, and then when I found things that started to work, I went all in on that. And by going all in on things that work, it's okay to put the same content out there because it's going to reach a different audience every time you post something. But then people start commenting, and by being active in the comments is huge because the comments, it's where you learn. It's where you can connect with your audience, connect with, the people there because they're putting things in there that are relevant to others. They're asking questions that you can interact with. And I think that's the key to it all. If you're posting stuff, don't post and ghost. You got to post and respond to every comment, whether it's your personal page or your business page. I think that's huge. I think also just going on these platforms and searching things you like is another way just to learn to see what's working and how can you apply that to what we do. We're working with people, so it's all applicable. Regardless of what age group or demographic we're in, we can connect with an audience. And I think the other piece too that's relatively new to the world right now is artificial intelligence. I think it gives so many people more opportunities to be creative because you can go into, a chat GPT or a Jasper, say, I don't know, write me the 5 misconceptions of living in a senior living community. And then you have 5 topics that as a provider or someone that works in the space, what the answers are. So put it in video and put it out there. And I think the other thing too is you can't chase virality. Like that's not what it's all about. What it's about is connecting with an audience. And when you go viral, like, yeah, it's great. It's sweet, but not every post is going to do that. So nothing's a failure. You just have to make sure that you're consistent with it and build it. I think the other thing too is everyone in our communities, everyone at any business right now has a cell phone, right? It's a very powerful tool. Well, you can't get people not to be on their phones. So if you have people, get a small group of people, say, hey, can you capture some video of, this event going on and, get a process in place. Obviously, you can't just have everybody posting, but make your teams part of it. Engage with your community, engage with your team members, because that's a huge retention piece too. Is if you're engaging and letting people, create while they're on the job, how cool is that? I mean, you probably have people in your organization that have huge followings that you might not know about. Well, imagine what that could do for your business. I mean, they could be influencers for your business. They can create user UGC or user generated content for your business that can help you.
So, and I think you kind of just answered this question because I was going to ask, do you think there should be one person at a community in charge of this or have multiple people? And it seems like you were saying, have multiple people because everyone does have a phone in their pocket, and the phones these days, you can record 4K on your phone. And it's so easy to get started. So am I understanding you correctly that you'd have, a lot of your team members who know how to record video and maybe have a lot of them that can actually post to social media?
Yeah, so what I would do is I would kind of streamline the posting piece where you would create, kind of funnels into one person that's editing and posting. And that's what I do at Foundations right now is I really look for people, I like to call them content champions. And I have anywhere between like 4 and 6 people that every 1 or 2 weeks, like they'll send me a video. A lot of people like to do trends. Well, trends are great, but to grow a business, like it helps, like, right? Like 1 out of every 10 posts should be a trend is how I focus. But I have the teams do that because it's fun. It's a fun way that they can engage with the residents. But they'll send it in to me. I filter it, I edit it, just to make sure, it meets all the guidelines so that we're risk adverse there. But yeah, I think you can have multiple people involved in the process, but the posting side I think should be streamlined.
So I've typically heard about social media that when you're posting content, 80% of it should be, shouldn't necessarily have a call to action, but then 20% should be about your products and services. Do you think that's true? Do you follow that, or do you see that a little differently?
I see it a little bit differently because I think if you're putting out good content, people are going to respond. Like occasionally I'll put in like, like, follow, share for more, those types of things. But most of the time it's more about just putting the message out there. And I think over time, as you build the community, and like that's what I'm doing right now at Foundations, like the TikTok's brand new, the Instagram's brand new. So I'm growing these accounts from zero. And it's really about putting the content out there and reaching an audience. I think at some point it does, but I don't think social media is, and social media marketing, for instance, it's marketing, it's not sales. It's the top of the funnel. It's to drive people to a link or something in your profile. And that's what happens is when people comment, then that's where you go and do, here's what you do next. Go click the link in our bio or follow us on Instagram for the quick apply. I don't think putting it on the video or putting in text really matters right now because if you think about it, how often do people actually listen?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. All right, so let's say someone is listening to this and thinking, all right, I want to go check out what Dean is posting, and I want to go see what his posts look like. Where would you send someone if they wanted to go check that out?
So on TikTok, it's you can check me out at Dean M Pal. That's DeanMPal, all one word. Same handle on Instagram. Also, you can check out Foundations Health on TikTok or Foundations Health Solutions on Instagram. Another one of my favorite accounts to follow on Instagram is Senior Living Stories, where that's a good friend of mine, Nathan Jones, runs that one. And what he does is takes viral content from all across the internet featuring older adults and posts it all in one spot.
Oh,
And the
cool.
videos are phenomenal. The engagement's great, but it's just a good space to learn and see a little bit more about what actually works and what does well.
Dean, thank you so much for hopping on this podcast. This has been really helpful for me just to kind of maybe take a fresh look at social media and content creation. So I really appreciate your time. And I would definitely encourage you, if you're listening to this, go check out Dean's stuff and go check out Foundations Health Solutions. I'll put everything you said in the show notes so that can be easy for people to find.
Thank you, Luke. I had a great time.